Warning, warning, M5 is in meltdown. Warning, warning, M5 is in meltdown.
What's going on here?
It's the mainframe. It's the mainframe! What is error? What is solution?
Revisit. Revisit. Revisit.
Well, Jamie, since 2002, you know, we've had our fair share of mottos that have helped define this show. I mean, there was...
When in doubt, C4.
And who could forget...
Holy crap! Run! Run! Run!
And then, of course, there's the classic, iconic...
Failure is always an option.
Well, we do screw up a lot.
Yes, but one of the things I love that we do on this show is if we make a major mistake, we are willing to try a new methodology and to test it again. And that's what this whole episode is about. We are tackling fan complaints head on.
What do we got?
Well, later we're going to test two MythBuster icons that fans said we got wrong. One is, what is Bulletproof?
In 3, 2, 1.
And what is Bombproof? Holy. But first, remember San Francisco Drift?
Sure.
Yeah, baby.
Right, so in that episode, we proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that on a regular road surface, drifting is not faster than regular driving really fast. But fans said that if we'd done that test on dirt, we would have come to a completely opposite result.
So, it's time to break out our drifting moves.
Yes, it is.
Oh, here we go.
When Adam and Jamie first slid for science,
Oh my God. Whoa.
they proved that drifting is never faster than regular driving. But by conducting all of their tests on tarmac, fans cried foul. So in a suitably dusty destination, it's all systems go on the ultimate drifting do-over.
Dude, this looks perfect.
Yeah, lots of slipping and sliding, huh?
Let's do it.
I'm standing in a quarry in Ione, California, and behind me is a lake you might recognize because we've blown a lot of stuff up there. We've blown up boats. We've even blown up sharks. However, we have never tested a driving myth up here, and that ends today, because surrounding this lake are a bunch of beautiful flat clay surfaces, perfect for drifting on dirt.
If you're gonna race, you gotta need a course. We're gonna put one together.
Yep, before driving into the dust,
That is our start line.
the guys must first plot out a path
Okay, slow down.
that'll let them put this myth to the ultimate test.
If we're gonna test drifting versus not drifting, we're gonna have to have a course that has both curves and straightaways that can really put the car to the test.
Getting the course correct is crucial, and eventually Adam's set to give the guided tour in an ATV, not the vehicle they'll use come testing.
All right, we're just about to drive the course. 3 salient points. One is the start line is actually the same as the finish line. That makes it pretty easy. 2 is it's almost exactly the same size as the track we did the first time we tested drifting. And 3, because it's called drifting on dirt, this track requires lots and lots of drifting. Here we go. So I just crossed the start line, and right away there's a heavy hairpin turn. Oh, this is a good track.
After the hairpin comes a series of minor twists and turns
This is only our 3rd turn.
before a long, speedy straightaway.
This is so we get to build up a little speed during our test.
Next, the track gets even trickier.
We are now coming up on the second half of the course. A hard right-hand turn. And then perhaps the most difficult maneuver of the track, a hard hairpin 180. Yeah! Woo! Woo! Woo!
A few more bends later, and
And we're almost at the finish. Here it comes. There we go. Woohoo! That is a really fun track. I can't wait to drive it in a real car.
in total, their course is nearly 2 miles of twists and turns that'll challenge their driving skills to the max. So, what's the plan?
Now remember that the last time we tested drifting, we concluded that straight driving was faster.
Dude, that's the result. That's beautiful.
People kept writing us and saying on a dirt track, drifting will be faster, and that's what we're testing. Jamie is the control. He's doing the straight driving, attempting to make it around this track as fast as possible without drifting. I will be doing the opposite. I'm going to be doing this entire friggin' thing sideways if I can. Right there. Stop right there.
So first up is the non-drifting control, AKA James Franklin Heineman.
First official timing run. Control. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Jamie will do 2 pedal-to-the-metal laps. And his best time will be the benchmark that Adam has to beat.
Yeah, baby.
But for an accurate comparison, it's crucial that Jamie doesn't drift at all,
And there he goes.
which on dirt like this is downright difficult.
To not drift at all, I'm simply taking the racing line. That means braking as late as possible as I approach a bend. Yeah! Taking that bend as fast as I can without losing traction, and then accelerating out of it like there's no tomorrow.
Reaching a top speed of 52 miles an hour without ever losing traction at a turn. Jamie comes home in
2 minutes, 24 seconds.
a quick reset later, and it's lap 2 of 2.
3, 2, 1, go! Every time he takes off, it's like a film about the Dust Bowl.
Once again, Jamie pushes the car to the limit through turns big and small.
Let's cut to the inside of the car, see if Jamie's having fun.
And his time?
Okay, here he comes. Seems a bit faster. Okay, he's going for it, and 2 minutes 22. Man, that is fast.
It's not only fast, but by never drifting, Jamie's lap is the perfect control.
With my skill and with that car, I'm as fast as I'm gonna get.
But before Adam tries to better it, there's another revisit to redo.
Well, Jamie, it's time to go back into some very familiar territory for you and I. What is Bulletproof?
Why's that?
Well, first we have an amazing fan submission story about supposedly bulletproof fish tanks.
That I've got to try.
Yeah, I totally agree. But first, it's a return to the very first item we ever shot at, and that is this, a simple brass lighter.
Which turned out to be not bulletproof at all.
Not even a little bit, but fans insist that we got this wrong, that there is a circumstance under which a lighter can stop a slug.
Well, there's no time like the present.
Indeed. Shooting at stuff has been our bread and butter on MythBusters over the years. More specifically, we have shot hundreds of objects to find out and answer the question, what is and isn't bulletproof? From belt buckles.
Oh, it went all the way through.
But look at what it did to the buckle. It caught it like a catcher's mitt.
To cars.
That didn't suck.
To pizzas.
Oh, check out my new bulletproof vest, man.
But it all began with this, the humble flint-based lighter. And 12 years ago, we found that these are not at all bulletproof by putting a 22-round cleanly through it.
We're going hot.
It was way back in 2004 that the guys lacerated a lighter.
Looks like you hit it pretty good.
But fans were furious because an article like this alleged that a lighter did stop a slug in a botched burglary. So it's time for a shoot-'em-up do-over to retest a decade-long dispute.
We're using a .22 caliber rifle firing a full metal jacketed round with a muzzle velocity of 1,440 feet per second.
But will the guys really get a different result?
What's that for? You'll love this. That is for holding our lighter. All right.
To find out, they're cranking the coverage to the max.
In the early days of MythBusters, if we wanted to get a better viewpoint on a bullet going through a lighter, for instance, all we really had as our option was to just freeze frame our video. But the last 13 years have seen an incredible amount of advancement. This is today's ultra high-speed camera. It will record this bullet shot at 28,000 frames per second in HD. This is our slowpoke high-speed camera, which will record it at 6,900 frames per second, all to give us a better vantage point on what's actually happening.
With all cameras rolling, it's showtime.
All right, our first shot, guy with a lighter in his pocket versus a direct shot from a .22 caliber rifle firing a full metal jacketed round. You ready?
Firing in 3, 2, 1.
It's a bullseye on the brass.
I think that was a perfect shot.
But it's bad news for Ballistics Gel Buster.
So that bullet made it all the way through. There's cotton from the lighter in the wound. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, this guy is dead. He's dead, Jim.
Yep, the bullet's buried so deep,
Oh, there it is.
it's almost come out the other side.
Okay, so it went through roughly 6 inches of our dude.
Right in the middle of his heart.
So that experiment worked beautifully. Jamie pulled the trigger, the bullet exited the rifle at about 1,400 feet per second, and bang, it hit the lighter dead center. But then, just like in 2004, the bullet kept going through Buster and almost came out the other side of him.
There we go.
I mean, the lighter did virtually nothing. So how come so many people told us we got this wrong? How come there's a story saying that some guy's lighter did stop a slug? Well, we can think of only one thing. I mean, the mythical slug that we're talking about just can't have been a direct hit. It had to have bounced off something else on its way to the lighter. And that is where we're going next. We are about to enlist the help of famous Irish ballistics expert, Rick O'Shea.
Since 2004,
I can see you.
the MythBusters have tested the bullet-stopping capabilities of 35 everyday items.
Holy cramoly.
But does internet gossip like this prove their very first foray was false? Well, no, because this episode's retest replicated that first result.
Right in the middle of his heart.
But all is not lost for the lighter.
Now it's time to set up a ricocheting bullet. Now, we have some experience with ricocheting bullets. I mean, on purpose. We did an episode a while back in which we found out several vital things about ricocheting.
And I see a hole in me.
The best material to ricochet a bullet off of is this, a concrete paver. So we're gonna set this up at an angle that helps our bullet hit our dude.
The theory is that by bouncing off the paver, the bullet's speed will be so reduced that a lighter may then stop it.
I think that puts us in the ballpark.
But because ricochets are notoriously unpredictable, they're starting without the lighter in place.
This could be a little tricky to get this all dialed in, so we've come up with a setup that hopefully will make it easier. Starting with the gun, which is mounted here, and it's aimed at our ricochet brick here. Hopefully, it'll bounce off of this and then into this piece of cardboard here, leaving a mark, which will tell us where to put our dummy with the lighter on it without a whole lot of messing around.
All right, sir, we're all set up for the ricochet. You ready to shoot?
Yeah.
For test one, the paver is at an angle of 45 degrees relative to the rifle.
Firing in 3, 2, 1.
but the bullet's nowhere to be seen.
It didn't go through our card. Let's take a look at high speed and find out where that bullet went.
Okay.
Oh, wow, okay. There it is. It reflected at too hard an angle.
Yeah, so we need to shallow that out. Our first shot into the 45-degree paver ended up bouncing the bullet so much that it flew straight past our cardboard target. So we're just gonna shallow the angle of the brick, try it again, see what happens.
Yep, for test 2, Adam reduces the angle to 25 degrees.
3, 2, 1.
Wow!
This time, the bullet did hit the target, but only after breaking to bits.
Well, I count 4 holes.
So next, they shallow the angle again to just 15 degrees.
In 3, 2, 1.
And just like that, they get the ricochet they're after. A bounce that not only hits the target, but also stays in one piece.
That's perfect.
And there's one giant hole and one dent.
That means the guys can bring Buster back
Don't overstress yourself, old man.
and line him up so that his lighter is directly behind the previous ricochet's path.
That's actually perfect.
Then the guys sub in a clean paver,
Beauty.
and they're all set, but a little apprehensive.
So we were very careful about our aiming methodology. We set up the stone, we set up a cardboard target, we got the bullet to bounce off and stay in roughly one piece and go through that target, and we placed the lighter and our dude right behind where the bullet went. But a lot happened in there. I have to say, my prediction is there's no way we got this right on the first try. The bullet's probably gonna hit some part of the dude close to the lighter, but it's gonna take several attempts to actually get one to hit the lighter and maybe go through it or bounce off. And here it is, for the money. However unlikely, we are going to bounce a .22 caliber full metal jacket bullet off of a paving stone into a lighter and see if it goes through or bounces off.
Okay, into the lighter, hopefully, in 3, 2, 1.
Hey! Hey! The lighter bounced off the dude, which means something hit the lighter, which really should have been our bullet.
Incredibly, their bullet ricocheted into the lighter on their very first try.
It's almost like we knew what we were doing.
But did the lighter save Buster's life?
Hey! Dude, it is precisely where we expected it to hit, and it did hit. And clearly, the bullet bounced off the lighter. Well, that is not only beautiful, but quite definitive. Take a straight shot at a lighter with a .22, and it goes right through that sucker. But let that bullet bounce off some concrete at even a shallow angle, and no, it bounces right off. I would never challenge the man or woman that told me this lighter saved their lives, and now we know how such a thing might be possible.
It's a result to vindicate the viewers. 10 years on, and a lighter can't stop a bullet, provided that bullet has first bounced. And that gives this myth a brand new conclusion. With one myth back from the dead, it's back to drifting on dirt, where Jamie clocked a super fast lap
Look at him go.
without ever losing traction.
2 minutes, 22 seconds.
But by drifting rally driver style, will Adam really beat that time as easily as fans figure? To find out, Formula Drift legend Conrad Grunwald must first give Adam some guidance.
All right, Conrad, are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
All right, we're going to drift this track. I want to be in the passenger seat first and then I get to drive. Here we go. See you guys after. Now, while way more scary, drifting on dirt uses the same techniques as on asphalt.
If you get in too fast, you can use a little bit of brake to get it to turn like that. Right.
As you approach a corner, you rev the engine and briefly apply the brakes.
We'll do the same thing here, a little bit of brake, turn.
This decelerates the car and puts more weight on the front wheels, taking it off the back wheels, which start to slide.
Now with the drifting, all we really have to do is get on the gas while we're turning.
At the exact moment you need, you hit the throttle to increase that slide on the back wheels until they're facing the direction you want to exit the turn, and then you accelerate out.
Oh, nice!
That actually is kind of fun.
I love this.
And yes, Conrad makes it look so easy.
With the dirt demo over,
Conrad, every time you show up on set, I know it's going to be one of the most fun days ever.
Adam takes the wheel and soon learns that drifting on dirt is difficult.
Remember, wait for the power. Easy, easy, easy.
Oh, whoops.
Easy.
That was...
Don't worry about the handbrake bit right now.
Okay.
Just use the foot brake.
Now, you would think that if you're racing on dirt, you would simply be sliding along on the surface because you don't have as much traction as you would on pavement.
You gotta be really precise here. Eyes up, eyes up.
That one's so difficult for me.
But apparently you're at a far greater likelihood of actually flipping the car on dirt because in the right conditions in a severe turn, the wheels can actually dig into the dirt because it's softer, and that'll cause the car to flip.
Flipping is the worst-case scenario for any drifter.
Slippery over the hill here, but you can keep picking up speed. You gotta respect the course boundaries. You got it on the gas now.
And Adam's clearly living very dangerously.
Sorry about that.
But slowly, he starts to make progress.
Yeah, that is it.
And after a day and a half of intensive training,
Oh, Conrad, you are such a good teacher.
Adam's finally ready to put this myth to the test, once and for all.
Look, it's worth restating that we stand 100% behind the results of the first time we conducted this test. Hollywood's always leading you to believe that sliding around a corner is faster than driving around a corner, and we found definitively that driving is faster on asphalt. But fans wrote and said we would come to a totally different result if we tested it on dirt. And so that is what we are doing here. We are driving this dirt course while driving and also testing that against drifting to find out which one is faster and whether or not the fans are right.
Remember, Jamie's fastest non-drifting lap was 2 minutes 22. But with Adam ready to drift like a pro,
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
can he beat that benchmark? Adam's off,
Now throttle. Yeah, that's it.
and immediately he's using a complex combination of steering, throttle, and brake
Yeah.
to lose traction with the dirt and drift
And use the power to steer the car. Yeah, baby.
through every turn.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Because the myth is that drifting through every turn is the fastest way to drive.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
But is it?
Here comes the finish line. How did I do there?
224.
2:24? That's almost identical to your time. All right, I'm gonna try again.
Okay.
Yes.
For his second and final lap, Adam again puts pedal to the metal.
Oh, yeah! This is freaking live! Oh, dude!
But this time, will he hammer the Heinemann?
Yeah, that's it! Yeah, come on!
Or will this myth be done and dusted?
Ah, that felt so good. That felt so awesome. How did I do?
223.
No way! That is awesome! All right, so after kicking up all that dust, where do we stand? Jamie's best time driving this course without drifting, 2 minutes, 22 seconds. My best time driving this course drifting to heck and back, 2 minutes, 23 seconds. They are functionally identical times.
Yep, overall, the 2 times from 2 equally skilled drivers were statistically the same. But closer inspection of the footage reveals a wrinkle.
So over the entire course, Jamie's and my lap times were identical, but check this out. On this gentle turn, we've superimposed Jamie's driving car and my drifting car, and as you can see, Jamie makes the turn faster because I lose traction in the drift. But now, look at the sharp turn. Here, I'm faster because I don't lose as much momentum. So yes, there are occasions when drifting on dirt is quicker, but the idea that it's always quicker no matter what, which is what we're testing, well, I guess that's for the wrap-up. So, once upon a time, there was a myth that drifting was faster than driving, and we tested this on asphalt and found it to be busted. But fans gave us a new myth. They said drifting is faster than driving if the surface that you're driving on is actually dirt like this. We have tested it. What have we found?
Busted.
Let's get out of here, preferably without too much drifting.
In this epic revisit special,
Revisit.
what's next?
So I understand we're ending with a bang.
Yes, it's time to cue the explosions with a return to what is bomb-proof. We've tested this in the past, and fans didn't say we got any specific test wrong. Instead, they have a brand new twist on this, which I love. They claim that the best protection against a bomb is another bomb. Specifically, that if 2 explosions that are identical in size go off simultaneously, their shock waves will cancel out where they meet. And if you're standing in that location, you'll be totally fine.
Good story.
I thought so. It's time to blow some stuff up.
1.
What is Bombproof?
You're not first, we're good.
Has been a fan favorite for years. So no ultimate revisit would be complete without a bomb-proof kaboom.
My favorite place to blow stuff up.
Mine too. Let's get set up.
Now, to test this myth about explosive cancellation, we could have just gone to the bomb range and set off 2 blasts without much fuss. But instead, we've come back to Ione, and that's because we want to do the test above water. Why? Well, this myth is all about shock waves. And we found in an earlier experiment
1.
that explosions above water give you a great visual image of the shock wave. Not only is the shock wave itself more visible in the air, but it also leaves a really clear pattern in the water.
Not only should the lake showcase the shockwave, it's also good for picturing the 2 boom plan.
Now, soon enough in this episode, you are going to get to see some absolutely gorgeous high-speed shots of the blast pressure waves from an explosion moving outwards across this beautiful lake. But until then, let me use these stones to tell you what we're going to see. The first explosion will be a single 5-pound blast, and we'll get to see the blast pressure wave move out from that like this. See those ripples moving outwards from where I dropped the pebble? That equates to our blast pressure wave. And our pressure transducers will be reading the intensity of that pressure front as it moves away from the epicenter of the explosion. Once we have that data in hand, it will be time to do 2 simultaneous explosions, symbolized by these 2 rocks. Now watch as their ripples move towards each other and then collide. It's that collision of the 2 blast pressure waves that we are going to be looking at the data. If this myth is true, we should see a significant drop in the intensity of those pressure fronts when they meet.
Well, to find out, Jamie's replacing the rocks with something altogether more dangerous.
So these are our explosives. That's 5 pounds of TNT. And these are our floating platforms. With a hole right in the middle, there'll be a rod comes up 3 feet. That sits on top of it. Bob's your uncle.
Meanwhile, Adam's building the data collection device
Awesome.
upon which the whole experiment depends.
So first up, I'm making an 8-foot by 1-foot platform that will float on the surface of the lake. Then I'm going to drill 7 holes at 1-foot intervals across the length of the platform.
Another good use for a cowboy hat.
Into each of those holes, I am putting a 6-foot length of Schedule 40 pipe. Awesome. At the very top of each piece of pipe will sit pressure transducers, which will measure the exact blast pressure of our explosions.
One down.
Attached to each of the transducers is a wire that will emerge from the pipes carrying some lovely pieces of data for us to analyze.
So, the rig is certainly complex,
I think we're fine.
but its job is surprisingly simple. Once in position on the water, the guys will set off a single blast. The rig's 7 PCB transducers will then record baseline pressure readings as the blast wave passes by. Next comes Blast 2, an identical double explosion, where the rig will help reveal if the pressure readings where the two waves meet goes up, down, or sees no change at all.
We're on the move.
And with the assembly at last ready to roll,
Cool.
the guys must next position it in the lake for the single blast control. A procedure that's a very delicate operation.
Well, that was interesting. Jamie and I are out setting up for the first experiment when all of a sudden the wind picks up. Oh, for We actually turned out to have gotten caught in a little tiny tornado. You all right?
Yeah.
That was, oh, felt like being smacked with a ton of bricks. And all of a sudden I knew my hat was almost blowing off. Jamie's hat was blowing off.
I've never seen that happen here since all the time we've been coming here.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's not what such a delicate operation needed, but it's not long before the rig is in place.
It'll float.
Cool.
And ready for a rule of thumb test.
So the sensors we're using are pressure transducers, and Adam is going to go out in his little boat and actually put his thumb on them and press down on them while Dave looks at the readings from the central computer here. And that way he'll be able to check them and make sure that they're all working the way they're supposed to be.
Go from the outside in.
1, 2, 3, 7, 6, 5, 4.
They're all working. 7 for 7.
With that, the rig is officially sitting pretty. Next, it's joined by the controls explosive. 5 pounds of TNT positioned 3 feet above the water and 5 feet from the end of the rig.
Awesome, awesome.
And with that, it's time for the single boom benchmark.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! All right, here we go. This is for real. Control explosion, 5 pounds in 3, 2, 1. Whoa! That was a crack.
Yes.
Dude.
Well, the sensor platform is still there.
And our drone is still flying. That was intense.
As far as control blasts go, that was as neat as you pleased. I don't mean neat in terms of tidy, because no, Jamie is actually out there picking up the big chunks of EPP we left out there. But the explosion went off perfectly. And we got beautiful data from all 7 of our sensors. That was awesome.
In this memory lane retro revisit, Adam and Jamie have confirmed that a lighter can stop a slug.
Hey, dude!
But the shooting ain't done yet.
Next up on What is Bulletproof, an often requested fan favorite that we somehow haven't gotten to yet, but that ends today. Here is the story. A man supposedly survived a point-blank shotgun blast thanks to a 30-gallon fish tank positioned directly in between him and the shooter, which completely stopped the round. Now, we don't know what kind of round was fired at the fish tank, so we're gonna have to fire more than one. Get ready. Things are about to get fishy.
Stand by for the latest What is Bulletproof revisit.
Awesome.
Reason enough for Adam to go to town.
Now, just because we're gonna shoot our fish tank doesn't mean we can't make it look nice. I'm gonna do a little bit of interior decorating. First up, some gravel. It's beautiful!
Adam's following that MythBusters mantra
I love it.
that if it's worth doing,
Look, it's totally working.
it's worth overdoing. Meanwhile, Jamie's got the big gun.
This gun right here is what this story's about. It's standard 12-gauge pump-action shotgun. Now, we're going to be running 3 separate experiments with 3 separate types of rounds. Bird shot, buckshot, and a deer slug.
Because the guys like to end with a bang, they're starting with the least energetic round, the bird shot, which will be fired by Adam.
Okay, here we go. The classic battle. Bird shot versus fish tank. In 3, 2, 1. Well, I'll tell you, on the next shot, I am going to wear sleeves because a bunch of stuff hit me. Yeah, I got a little mark there.
Ironically, Adam's been hit. But Buster's not.
Looks like he was safer than you were.
The dummy is completely injury-free, and the high speed shows why.
So check this out. The bird shot blasts into the tank at 1,300 feet per second. But because each pellet weighs less than 1 gram, they're stopped by the water before they hit the back glass. That glass only breaks because of the shock wave caused by the blast itself.
Meaning that Adam and the fish really did get more hurt than Buster. But with a brand new 30-gallon tank set up just like before,
Here you go, my pretties. I love these robotic fish.
will Buster be saved again when facing off against Birdshot's bigger brother?
So what's going to happen with buckshot? Well, the lead pellets that are inside buckshot are the size of a 9mm round. So for my money, it's going to make it all the way through the tank, and it may well actually penetrate our dummy.
Jamie thinks bigger will be better, but Adam's money is on the tank.
I don't think any of those little chunks of buckshot is making it past the back glass of this fish tank. I think our guy here is just as safe from buckshot as he was from birdshot.
Well, with Jamie dressed to kill, it's time to find out.
Firing in 3, 2, 1.
The back glass didn't even shatter. I don't even need to walk over there to tell that our guy's okay.
Despite each pellet having more than 12 times the energy of birdshot, Buster's even more safe. And Adam has a theory as to why.
How is it possible that our buckshot didn't even get through the back of our fish tank? I have a little bit of an explanation for this. What is ammunition designed to do? It's designed to harm flesh. And what is flesh made of? Well, it's a bit of gristle, but mostly water. And water resists an impact in direct proportion to the speed of that impact. Faster the impact, faster water repels that energy. And that's why our buckshot loses almost all of its energy in the 12 inches of our fish tank. But we're not done yet. We have one more type of ammo to try.
Yep, for the third and final test, it's the Big Daddy, the deer slug. But will this be stopped even quicker again?
All right, here we go. This is deer slug versus fish tank, the final chapter. Safety's off. Range is hot. And 3, 2, 1. All the way through.
It's clear that this test caused way more carnage than the buckshot. But with no sign of the slug in the tank or in Buster,
I don't see a slug in him.
it's down to the spectacular high speeds to sort out the science.
So I fired the deer slug at the fish tank. And just like the other 2 types of ammo from the shotgun, the initial impact created this magnificent shock wave inside the fish tank. But uniquely among the 3, the deer slug not only broke, but also pierced the back glass of our fish tank. But it's pretty clear on the high speed that as it does, it loses whatever remaining energy it had, and then starts to move downwards instead of towards our ballistics gel dude.
So I think based on this, we've got to conclude that the slug also does not make it through a fish tank in any lethal fashion.
And that's a conclusion that's even more concrete when Jamie does find the slug.
Found it. This is that bullet after it hit. It spread it, in this case, flat as a pancake, and that sort of meant that it was like a drag chute on that bullet as it moved through the water. It did break through the other side of the tank, but really only just.
All right, time to tally up the results. What is bulletproof fish tanks? Did we prove that they're in fact bulletproof?
If we're talking about shotguns, pretty much.
Totally astonishing too, I might add.
Let's get out of here.
All right. One. Whoa!
Adam and Jamie are ending this special revisit
That was a crack!
with a bang. They're testing whether two simultaneous explosions of the same size can really cancel each other out. And after test one, the control data is in.
So the data was clean. The nearest sensor showed 135 psi, and it evenly lowered to the last sensor at 25 psi. Now for the next test, instead of one blast, we're going to have two blasts on opposite sides going off at exactly the same time, the same distance. And those numbers, those pressure readings, will change. How exactly, we don't know. They could go down, they could go up, they could cancel each other out. But that's what we're looking for.
To find out, the guys salvage what they can from test one.
3, 4.
That's good.
Awesome! Ha! I love that we don't have to replace this.
And begin to set up for test two.
Good.
But Adam's already got concerns.
Look, we often make a joke on this show that failure is always an option. In this case, for this experiment, it's not. And allow me to explain. When we say failure is always an option, we're actually explaining that we have no bias as to how something turns out. So what we're really talking about is a failure of our expectations is always an option.
Oh! Any result's a result, that's for sure.
But we can't survive a failure of our methodology. And in this case, the methodology for this experiment is everything. We have to have those two explosives go off simultaneously and perfectly equidistant from the center sensor in order to get the reading that we're looking for. If we don't get that, it's going to be a heavy-duty reset to try and get it again.
To try to get two identical booms, the guys are using exactly the same quantity of explosive that's positioned perfectly equidistant from their data rig. And by using exactly the same length of detonation tube, they're leaving nothing to chance.
Fire in the hole!
But will that be enough?
Okay, double explosion in 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, that was a bit of a cold shower. I pushed the button and nothing happened. Well, almost nothing. Actually, I did watch the spark travel down the tube, but when it got to the water's edge, it stopped, which means that we may have gotten some water. But what it really means is that somebody owes us a case of beer, because that's what that means in the bomb world.
Rules aside, the guys quickly replace the det tube, and then it's good for take two.
Okay, here we go. Count it in, Mr. Heineman.
Okay, two blasts canceling each other out, maybe, in 3, 2, 1. Wow. I felt that one.
That was a bone rattler.
Holy.
In real time, it's impossible to see if the experiment was a success. But the high speed shows it was exactly that.
This is really, really beautiful. First of all, this camera angle is shooting at 4,000 frames per second. And you can actually see here from one frame to the next, boom, It's a perfectly simultaneous explosion. That's exactly what we were looking at. Now, there's some cool stuff as you advance through the frames. You can start to see the actual shock waves there, these two bubbles. And as they increase, the gray line here above the water, you can actually see the cross of the two bubbles intersecting. We have sensors in place that will tell us what's actually happening there. Is it increasing the power? Is it decreasing the power? I honestly have no idea. And I might be overexcited because I was just rattled by an explosion. Wow. But I think this is pretty awesome.
Well, the good news is that the sensors survived.
Got the data.
You did?
Got it.
Dude, that's awesome.
And once dissected, Adam's ready to divulge.
All right, Mr. Heinemann, we have actual data from that last blast, and it's beautiful. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, so if you remember, right, we had 7 sensors to catch the intersection between the two pressure waves. Remember, for the first test, number 4 read 50 PSI.
Okay.
Second test, you will not believe its reading.
Is it double?
100 PSI.
Yes, I was right.
Was that your prediction?
Well, it's 2 energies, and where
Right.
they intersected.
Did you say that on camera?
No.
Oh, well, then it doesn't count.
I said it just now. I was the one that bet it.
No. He never wants to give a prediction before the actual fact. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
It's totally the opposite of canceling each other out. It doubled the power.
So we set out to test the myth that 2 identical explosions set off equidistant from each other would cancel each other out where their pressure waves intersected in the middle. Now, what we found was the exact opposite. It actually doubled there. A lot of physics is not exactly intuitive, but in this case, I think it is, because you've got twice the explosive power in the same vicinity, right next to each other, and it's not unlike a couple of hammers hitting. All that energy impacts right in the middle, and that's a bad place to be.
That one's pretty cleanly busted.
Yep, busted with TNT.
My ears are still ringing. And I have
Yeah.
hearing protection.